Shabbat shalom, everybody, and you are welcome to the Shabbat of this morning. The parasha that we are going to discuss about this morning is called Parshas Va-Yigash. And what is the meaning of the word Va-Yigash? Va-Yigash meaning to do what? To approach. See, today we are going to see the two Messiah. Okay, the Messiah ben Joseph and Messiah ben David. That is Judah here representing Messiah ben David, and Joseph is representing Messiah ben Joseph. So we see these two Messiah standing face to face, and now Messiah ben David is now pleading with the Messiah ben Joseph. He said, "This is what happened. My what? My Lord." Remember that Joseph was his Lord. You know, Joseph was the prime minister of Egypt, and he cannot just talk anything, or else he faces the consequence of his action. No, right? Because Joseph has bodyguard, army that are guiding him, weapons, everything. And so Messiah ben David here now is pleading, asking for what? For mercy. Let not the anger of my Lord flee. Let me explain myself. And we can see now that Judah is now de facto the leader of the children of Israel. Remember that the firstborn is what? Was what? The firstborn was Reuben, right? Now the firstborn, right? But he messed up, right? So Simeon, all those Levi, you are not like, because Simeon and Levi, we know that what they did by killing all the people of Shechem, they slaughtered them all like chicken, and so they're like murderers. You know, Yaakov, their father, wasn't as fond of them, but Yehuda stood up. Yehuda is the firstborn, but he's now de facto the leader of the whole people apart from Joseph. Because Joseph, remember Joseph was in Egypt already. So now he took up this mantle of leadership. He took up the authority of leadership, and he said, where Simeon, where Reuben, where Levi were hiding, Yehuda stood up and said, "Let me talk." He said, "This is what happened. Remember, my Lord, you told us the last time that we came, right? That are we of the same family?" And we said yes. And you asked us, "Do we have father?" We said yes. And you also asked us, "Do we have a younger one?" And we said yes. And you told us that, okay, when we are coming back again to buy food, that we should bring our the youngest one, that you want to see him, or else we are not going to see your face anymore. And so we went back home and we explained this to our father, your servant. Can you see the way Judah was making this statement? He said, "We went back home and we explained to our father, your servant." He didn't say, "We went home and explained to our father." No. He said, "Our father, your servant." You see, this is respect for the prime minister. Because, yes, even though Joseph was the son of what? Of Yaakov. Yaakov is his servant in this case, because he has authority that Yaakov doesn't have. Right? So this is what I am saying. This then Judah continued. He said, "Now when we explained to our father, your servant, that the man told us that if we are coming back again to do what? To get food, he wants to see the youngest one, or else he's not going to allow us to buy the food, or maybe he's going to imprison us, or we will not even return back." And remember, my Lord, that the youngest one, the soul of the youngest one is bound with the soul of his father. There were two that their mother gave birth to, and the oldest one is dead. Remember, that was his statement. The oldest one is dead, not knowing that the oldest one is the one standing, communicating with him. The oldest one is dead, and the youngest one is the one that remained, and his father loved him. If we take him out of his father's presence, his father will die. And I don't want to be the one that killed my father. Right? I don't want to be responsible for the death of my father. And when the food was finished, and my father said, "Okay, take this one. But remember that you have to bring him back. If I did not bring him back to my father, I will be a sinner for eternity. Because I took responsibility for this one." I caused myself that I must return this one, the youngest one, back to his father. And if I did not return to his father, I even told my father to kill, to slaughter my own children. If I did not return Benjamin back to his father. So the question now is, which grandfather will take an axe and kill his own grandchildren? Of course, no grandfather will do that. But we can see that this man that is called Yehuda has become a changed man. It has improved himself. And we can see that, as I said last week, that there is one thing that made Judah different from all of his brothers. He is a man that he committed a lot of crime. He did a lot of wrong things. He did a lot of bad things, right? But the thing that made Yehuda different is that once Yehuda understands and know that he had sinned, he will ask for forgiveness and he will never sin again. He will never return back to the old way. That is the one thing that is different from him. Where his other brother, they don't have that quality. Judah has this quality that if he knows that he has done something wrong, he will ask for forgiveness and he will never do it again. And this is what he's doing now. So this Messiah is standing, these two Messiah are standing, and they are saying, one is saying, okay, if you don't do this, you will face the consequence. And the other one is saying, please, I have done wrong, I have sinned, I have done a lot of bad things, but this one, I'm taking responsibility. Okay? You can kill me, but leave this boy alive. Take me. I will be your servant forever. But this young one, let him go home to meet his father. Because I don't want to be the one that is responsible for the death of my father. And the Torah said, and Joseph could not contain himself, because Joseph, with the wisdom of knowledge and understanding, understood one thing, that my brothers have changed. They have improved their ways. They are not the brother they were 40 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 22 years ago that sold him into slavery. These are changed people. These are men that improve themselves. They've climbed the ladder of righteousness. They are ready to take responsibility for their actions. The former brothers, they were not able to take responsibility. The former brothers, they were jealous. The former brothers were brothers that they don't want goodness for their brothers. For Joseph, they sold him because of envy, right, into slavery. But Joseph said, don't worry. That is the plan of God. You see, another understanding that Joseph is giving us here. Joseph was not saying, yes, I'm going to avenge, I'm going to destroy you, I'm going to suffer you, you are going to see what? You are going to see fire. No. He said, don't be dismayed. Don't worry yourself. When he made himself known to them, because they couldn't believe it. This is an Egyptian. He shaved. There is no beard. They put crown upon his head. They paint his eyes. As I said, the Messiah has been what? Has been discarded. So that you cannot even recognize this is the Messiah. Like some group of people took a man, an Israelite, a Jew, a Yehudim. They took him and said, behold and lo, this is your God. And they paint him and they make him all kinds of things that they like. They design him in their own image. Because man always wants to design his own God in his own image. And when the Torah said, a man is made in the image of God. But man said, no, I don't want such a God. I want to make my own God in my own image. But we are made in the image of God. God created Adam in his image. So we have to, what is the Torah telling us? Torah is telling us that we have to always be like our Father, the Almighty God. Not to look inward in ourselves. Because as I said, we have no righteousness that can cover us. We depend upon the righteousness of the Almighty. And now, if you now come and present me, this man, and say this is your God, how can I accept that? When my Torah said, behold and lo, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. And you're telling me that this is a God, a man that you make. How can I accept that? I won't accept that. Because that is not what my Torah told me. Because they discard this man, this Messiah, in their own image. The same thing the Egyptian did, the same thing the Greek and the Romans, they the same, no different. But if they have left him in the image of the Jew, we will recognize him. We will know, oh, this is one of us. This is part of us. Until when Joseph opened up himself. Ani Joseph. I am Joseph. Oh, it's as if the air should open and it should collapse. But they could not recognize him. They were blind. They said, no, I need Joseph. I am Joseph. They said, no, okay, sure. How do we know that you are Joseph? And he made himself known to them. The Torah said, he showed them that I am circumcised. Egyptian does not circumcise. Look at me, I am one of you. They were shocked. It is true, this is Joseph. This is Joseph, our brothers. And he told them about everything. Go bring my father. Bring them and bring my father down here, because this is just the beginning of the famine. We have another 5 years more. Come. God has destined to be like that. God has prepared in order for me to do what? To sustain you. He wasn't angry with them. He wasn't saying, I'm going to suffer you, I'm going to do this and this unto you. No. He remembered that the brotherhood love that he doesn't have. It is my time as a leader now to give that brotherly love for my brothers. Right? I'm not, it is my opportunity for me to build up my entire family. Not like some of us that will say, oh, yes, I am not in the position of power, I will punish them. But they are for selling me into slavery. But Joseph saw it in different perspective. It's everything for Joseph is about positivity. Positive. Even though they were talking yesterday before I go deep to today's message, even though yesterday when we were talking, we talked about seeing positivity in the negativity. Joseph saw positivity even though when it was negative. He didn't see negativity in negativity. He saw positivity in negativity. So once we begin to think like that, once we begin to have that sort mentality, everything will always be positive in our life. That is just an introduction. Okay? Now, the subtitle of the message of this morning is called the significance of 70. The significance of 70. Remember, the Torah said in the book of Genesis chapter 46 that and Yaakov Avenu, Jacob our father, descended into Egypt with 70 souls. All the people of Yaakov's household who came to Egypt were 70. Genesis chapter 46, verse 27. In this week Parshas Va-Yigash, Yaakov is said to bring 70 souls into Egypt, into Mitzraim. The Plaut, Hertz, and Rashi, and even JPS offer no answer as to why the Torah states that it is exactly 70. When we ask, even though among our people in Ethiopia say, why is it exactly 70? Not 69, not 71, not 80, not 10, not 12. Why is it exactly 70? The individual listed in the Torah do not exactly amount to 70, and as the JPS point out, we cannot be certain who is actually being counted anyway, because the women were not counted, the children were not counted, the slaves of Yaakov were not counted. So how come it's just 70? We can be reasonably sure that 70 carry primarily a symbolic message. The number 70 has a message. There is a symbolic message for that. So that then, is that message in our tradition? The point is that message that the number 70 carries, is it in our tradition? Number one, let us look at different traditions that we have that give us number 70. We know of number one, the 70 Panim of the Torah. We know the 70 faces of the Torah. Torah has 70 faces. The 70 original nations of the world according to the 70 descendants of Noah. Remember, we have 70 nations after after Noah. And we have the 70 archetypal language. Remember, after God destroyed the language of men, the language became 70. The 70 disciples sent by Yeshua to all regions and cities. Yeshua sent 70 disciples to all regions and cities to preach the good news. The 70 elders of Yisrael who accompanied Moses to do what? To feast with God on Mount Sinai. The 70 members of the great Sanhedrin, that is the court. So what is the purpose? What is the significance of this number 70? 70 seems to have a significance not only in regard to numerical quantity, but also in regard to time, such as the 70 years of Babylonian exile. The age of Abraham's father, Terah, he was 70 when Abraham was born. The 70 days of mourning for the death of Yaakov. When Yaakov Avinu died, he was mourned for 70 days. The mention in Psalm 90, verse 10, that the days of your years shall be 70. Why did God say the days of your years shall be 70? Not 120, not 80. Does that mean that we don't live more than 70 years? Of course, we have people that live more than 70 years, 90, 100 and something years, right? But why did God say the number of your years shall be 70? What is the meaning of this word? 70 is also specialized. 70 is also specially connected with Jerusalem. The city kept 70 years of Sabbath while Judah was in Babylon captivity. Jeremiah chapter 25, verse 11. 70 times 7 give us 480 years were determined upon Jerusalem for it to complete its transgressions, to make the end for sins, and for everlasting righteousness to enter into it. That is the book of Daniel. Daniel the prophet, chapter 9, verse 24. When he said that 480 years will pass. Right? Because 490 is 70 times 7. Give us 490 years. Here we have 70 souls who enter Mitzraim, who enter Egypt, to grow ultimately into a nation of 600,000 plus. Of course, the number has its own symbolic content and should not be understood or interpreted as actual count at all. 600,000 has its own meaning. A total of 70 Israelites started a nation within another nation. A total of 70 souls start a nation within a nation, just like a fetus formed in the womb of a woman to be grown into a full-fledged human being. Remember, we have a human being, right? A woman carrying a fetus. A fetus. Just when the spermatozoa and the egg come together, they form a fetus. And this fetus begins to grow into a full human being in the life of another human being. The woman, right, is alive, right? And is carrying another human being. The same thing here in Egypt. A country is formed inside another country. Israel was formed in the land of Egypt. 70 is the completeness of nature. That is meaning. The meaning of the number 70 means completeness of nature. Holistic. Remember, it is not individualistic. The Greek, I always say, understand about atom. The minute, they want to break, even the atom, they will break it. And the proton, they will break it. They want to break to the minute. How long? Well, God is not talking about that. God is talking about the holistic. The total image. Joseph saw the total image, not about himself alone. Joseph didn't say, I'm alone here, and the rest of you are there. No, he embraced his brothers. All of them, because he has seen the future. You understand what God wants him to understand. This is your opportunity to embrace your brother and make them holistic. One, Because if you are not one, you will not survive in this land. You won't survive. If you are divided, you fall. United, you stand. That's what the Torah is saying. That you have to make them one, even though they sold you. Forget about that. That is in the past. But you have to remember the present and the future. 70 is the completeness of nature. The mystic explained that the natural order is represented by the number 7. God chose to create the world in 7 days, resulting in a week that consists of 7 days, corresponding to the 7 attributes. 1, Hesed, that is kindness. Geborah, that is severity. Teferet, that is harmony. Nitzhak, which is perseverance. Hope, which is humility. Yisod, which is foundation. And Mahut, which is royalty. Any number times 10 represents the completeness of that number. 10 is a full number. Because after which we reach the number 10, we start counting again with 1. For example, the number 11 is 10 plus 1. We have 11, have 10, and then we have 1. 10 corresponds to the 10th mystical Sefirot, and 7 times 10 represents the completion of the natural orders. 10 Sefirot, 10, right? 7 of that 10 give you the completeness, the wholeness of the natural orders, both spiritually and physically. Each aspect of nature is complete and is made of all the 10 Sefirot. Let us consider several gematria, okay? Now, numeric value, equivalent, and corresponding, that may point to the meaningful perspective of 70. Adam and Eva. The numerical value of Adam and Eve is 70. The numerical value of my father and my mother, which is Avi Ve'imi in Hebrew, the numerical value of it is 70. The numerical value of Su, that is secret, the numerical value is 70. Momentarily, we shall understand the nature of this secret because the Kavan, which is a female, the Kavan, a female in Hebrew, the numerical value is 157. While Zahar, a male, the numerical value is 227. When you minus 157 from 227, you have number 70. Why that? When you minus 157 from 227, you have the number 70 left. Why that? What is God trying to teach us by this? Therefore, the male and the female are separated by the number 70. This gap between the opposite is defined by the secret of life. The secret of life. These two has to come together. These two has to overcome this 70 for them to form a life, for life to come. Similarly, let us look from another perspective. From the perspective of the word, Hebrew, which means Hebrew. The numerical value of this word is 682. And the numerical value of the word Brit, which means covenant, the numerical value is 612. So when you minus 612 from 682, the remaining number is 70. Why so? The gap between Ibrit and Brit with God must be bridged by the word Ibrit, ability to unify the paradox of the Su. Remember, I said 70 is the Su. 70 is the secret, the spiritual part of everything. Sud is the secret. Sud is the spiritual part. Okay? The metaphysical part. Separation and reunification arguably form a principal theme in the Torah cosmology. In the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1, we read 6 times, Vayehi came, and it was so. Vayehi came, and it was so. Since Kaf, which is 20, and Nun, which is 50, equal 70. This phrase should could and should be simultaneously understood as and it was 70. Remember, when God created all creation in the first day and the third day, and it was evening, and it was evening and it was morning the first day. It was evening and it was morning the second day. It was evening and it was morning the third day. So we should understand this word as and it was 70. Because 70 is the secret. God is telling us that all creation that He created has a spiritual part, a secret that we have to understand. That once we understand this secret, once we understand this spiritual part, we as a human being will be able to live a complete holistic life. Because many people, they don't understand that. They think in their life that everything is only physical. No. We have this physical part and we have the metaphysical part. And when we depend only upon the physical part and we neglect the metaphysical part, then we are in trouble. Joseph understood this principle very well. He understood that, yes, there is a physical part and there is a spiritual part. And he was able to balance both of them. And that is why the nation of Israel were able to survive in the land of Mitzraim, in the land of Egypt. It was 70 that separated and unified light and darkness. The secret. It was evening and morning. The upper water and the lower water were separated by this secret, by the number 70. The same idea is expressed in the manifestation of this breath, or the manifestation of the covenant of the Torah. Torah is the numerical value of Torah is what? It's 611. And the numerical value of the word Israel is 541. So if you minus 541 from 611, you have 70 left. Once again, the gap reverberates with the same soul, with the same secret. Torah 611. The word Israel is 541. When you minus 541 from 611, the number that remains is 70. God is telling us, understand, my children, understand, because knowledge is not, it's not that you can't sit down and you get knowledge. You have to task, you have to seek for knowledge. Only when we understand the momentous mystical function of 70, we will ever understand why dinner in the collect value of dinner, the name dinner, the daughter of Yaakov, the collect value is 70. Okay? And we have to understand what is it that the children of Israel furiously avenged the rape of Dinah, because that 70 was taken away from them, and they have to get that secret back. The people of Shechem took that secret away from them, and this was why they were furiously so upset, and they slaughtered them all in order to get back that secret that was taken. Had to be recaptured, and why her rape was ultimately avenged with such incredible fury on a mystical level, on a spiritual level. Bnei Israel, the children of Israel, recognized that without Dinah, they had lost their link to the covenant of God. Without the secret, they cannot reach God, and they need that secret. They need to collect that secret to be able to continue with the covenant of the Holy One. Blessed be He. Only a few parashot ago, we had that Yaakov, which was name was changed to what? To Israel. Remember, the word Yaakov, the numerical value of the word of the name Yaakov is 182. That is the numerical value of what? Of the name Yaakov. He was given the name Israel after a mystic battle with the stranger as he ready himself to finally cross over the Yabuk, over the river. Okay, the Yabuk to the other side. Okay, Yabuk. If you look like Yabuk, the numerical value of the word Yabuk is 112. That is the numerical value of the word Yabuk. And if you minus 121 from 182, you remain with 70. Why that? Ayin, it was Yaakov. Ayin. Ayin is a number. It's a letter. Okay, in Hebrew. And the value of Ayin is 70. Okay? Ayin, which is 70, that emerged from crossing over to the other side of the Yabuk. Remember, Abraham also crossed over to the other side. Remember that. So we are always people from the other side. We don't mix with the world. We don't, as oil and water cannot mix. We will never mix with the rest of the world. We are always on the other side. Okay? So, putting that in your mind, if you minus this, okay, you have, so to continue, the letter contained in Yabuk from those of Yaakov, and the letter Ayin is remained. When you subtract the letter from the word Yaakov and the word Yabuk, the only letter that remains is Ayin, which is 70. Meaning, what does it mean? Meaning, I am a changed man. Remember, Yaakov was a man that is self-seeking, a self-centered man. He only take other people's things. Take. Yaakov is a trickish man. But now his name was changed into what? Into Israel, meaning I have come a long way. I have improved myself. I am no longer that old Yaakov. I'm a new person. I'm a man that seeks after others. I'm a man that seeks after peace. I'm a man that seeks after God. No longer about myself. I have crossed to the other side. Not on this side. On this side is only materialism. Materialistic. Now I am a spiritual person. I have improved. I have gone up. I have climbed the ladder of righteousness, the ladder of holiness. In recognizing the existence of his Ayin, the 70, Yaakov attained the fortitude to reunite with his brother Esau. Here we have yet another instance of 70 bridging the gap. Though Yaakov doesn't know it yet, it is at this moment that Yaakov liberates, free his Ayin, his 70, the secret, the soul, the spiritual, and thus he enabled himself to take his Ayin down to Mitzrayim. It was in this moment of wrestling with the angel of Esau that Yaakov Avinu was able to finally liberate his Ayin, the secret. And with this secret, he took this secret to Mitzrayim, to the land of Egypt. In connection to the preceding examples, it seems reasonable to suspect that the letter Ayin itself may contain some clue as to the meaning of 70, since this is the numerical value of Ayin. Indeed, Ayin 70 represents not only the eyes, but it may also refer to a source, a well, a spring, a fountain, the origin. You see? The source where things come. The well. When you have a well, you have life in the desert. Where there's water, you always have life. The spring, the spring of water that flows. And also the fountain, and also is the origin. Ayin can be interpreted in all these forms. This association endorsed many words beginning with I, with a particular resonance. Furthermore, 70 play a significant role with 26, which is the gematria of the tetragrammaton. Right? The tetragrammaton, the number is 26. So in the Torah, the tetragrammaton was said 70 times in the entire Torah. So if you times 70 times 26, it is 1,820. And according to the scribe, the tetragrammaton is mentioned in all the entire Torah, but at 1,820 times. As such, 70 is elevated of a most auspicious status along with the tetragrammaton's value. It appears that 70 allude to three interconnected principles. 1. Origin, source, foundation. 2. Hidden, secret, the soul. That which separates and connects the opposite. The secret is the one that separates and connects and reconnects the opposite. Just like man and woman. God made Adam, and God said they were both male and female. And later God separated them. Right? To Adam and Eva. And for life to come, for Hayot, for living soul to rematch, both has to overcome their differences and come together. And that is the secret, the soup, the 70. Critical mass, a collective consciousness, is also called 70. It's also 70. This aspect interconnects in as much as the origin, which is the birth of our own existence, stems from the certain ability of male and female to overcome gaps that separate them, and in doing so to fuse in one creative moment, thereby providing the foundation for the principle that will eventually become or generate a critical mass. Remember, initially it was water, right? The water. And this water entered into the woman. And this water formed a critical mass. You know, a mass, I mean, something tangible, a weight. Mass is a weight. Water forms a weight. And this weight begins to enlarge and form a complete human being. Adam and Eva, as well as my father and my mother, speak clearly of our origin. Remember that I told you earlier time that the word Adam and Eva, the numerical value is what? It's 70. And the numerical value of the word my mama and my papa is 70. So, the origin, this speaks clearly that this is our origin, the origin of man. We therefore recognize that the soul, which is the secret lies in what separates male and female. The fusion of these two is, after all, the origin of all subsequent hayot, the living beings. 70 can also mean assembly, and is therefore a direct allusion to the secret of the group power. When the Torah says, and when you gather together in assembly, remember I told us everybody has his own life, his own frequency, right? And when we gather together as one, this frequency becomes more stronger, more powerful, more enormous, that it can move a mountain. It's better than one, because we're all together. It's like you group a computer all together. When you group a group of computers together, it's more powerful than just only one computer, right? So this is what the secret is all about. It requires the presence of 70 members of the Sanhedrin to provide the diaspora with the collective awareness to guard and maintain their Hebrew identity and integrity. We already learned how Yaakov attained the ability to bring Panim, which is 70, to Mitzrayim. The secret meaning of Yaakov's 70 seed or soul is that they represent the critical mass necessary to ensure the survival of Bnei Israel in a foreign land and their development as an eternal wellspring of the Israeli life. That is the meaning of the word 70. When the Torah says, and Yaakov bring 70 souls, it shows us that the 70 soul is the critical mass that is needed for a nation to survive. If it is less than 70 souls, they will never survive. Remember, the man and the woman has to come together to form a critical mass. So for this critical mass to survive, it has to be 70. That is a symbol of the army, the strength, the seal, the power for Israel to survive in the land of Egypt, to be able to grow. Remember, I told you that a nation is born in another nation. Remember, Israel was formed in Egypt. Israel, as a nation, was formed in another country, in Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim is like, it was the one that was that pregnate, that grew Israel. And we can see that even though in most of our traditions, in most of our laws are copied from Israel. Most of them. You need to understand that because Moshe, the Torah says, and Moshe learned every wisdom of Egypt. He learned them all and understood them perfectly well. I was able to say, okay, this is not clean. Like many people, I told you many times, idol worshipping. Those people that worship idol are not stupid. They are not worshiping that stone or that rock. They are worshiping the power behind that rock or that wood. And God and Moshe said, this is not right. It's not clean. Just the way our forefather Abraham did. This is not right. It's not clean. I need to make it in a clean way. And that is what Rashi also said. Right? He said, God is able to remove Israel from Egypt. But God is not able to remove Egypt from Israel. God still goes back and do the bad things they copy from Egypt. Adonai already promised Abraham immediately after the Akedah, the binding of Isaac, that his seed would be numerous as the stars in the heavens, and as the sun, which is 70 upon the seashore. The implication seems to be that Abraham's seed would gain the critical mass to endure forever. And indeed, Yaakov did his part to fulfill Adonai's promise, bearing in mind that similar to the letter Aleph, the letter Ayin is not vocalized by itself. The letter Ayin is not pronounced, just similar to the letter Aleph. Aleph is not pronounced too. They are silent when you are reading them. They are always silent. The Ayin, which is the 70, is the eye that behold the secret. Letter Ayin is the eye that behold the secret, leaving us speechless, leaving everybody speechless. Because when you see and you behold the secret, you will understand that everything that you see is not physical, but spiritual. The physical is born out of the spiritual. It is not the spiritual from the physical, no. It's the opposite side. The physical is born out of the spiritual. The metaphysical is the most powerful. We have to understand, once we can control the metaphysical, we can control the physical. Remember, I always tell us, this one is a what? Adakadabra, or what they call it, the physical world. It's a myth. The physical world deceives your eyes. The real world is the spiritual. When you dream, if I ask you which one is real, your dream or the physical world, many people will raise their hand, oh, the physical world. No, the real world is the dream. This is a facade. What we see here is a facade. The real world is inside. When you dream and say, I see this, I see this. Okay, but you see this and this and this and this, and you come to physical, you begin to see it exactly the way you saw it in the spirit. How come? Because your soul was able to travel in time to behold and to see what is to come. So the real world is down there. This one is a mirage. It's a facade that covers the eye. Parshas Va-Yigash. The significance of the letter 70. So 70 is the critical mass that make us to survive in the land of Mitzrayim. Without that, we would not have made it in the land of Egypt. Parshas Va-Yigash. Shabbat Shalom.